So today we are going to make a super easy yeast bread. So I know that not everyone has a sourdough starter, and I wanted to make a bread that everyone can try to make, and that's super easy because I only like making things that are super easy. Anyways, you just need 4 ingredients. First, you need 400 grams or 3 cups of flour. Then you need some yeast. I have instant yeast, but you can use active dry yeast. I'll leave the different measurements in the description box, yeah. And so you need 2 grams of yeast or half a teaspoon of yeast. Then you need salt, and you need 9 grams or 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Then you need 360 grams of water, which is 1.5 cups. Cool. Then I have a spoon, and I'm just gonna mix it up. So this is actually the first bread recipe I ever made. And I was really scared it wouldn't turn out well. So in Sweden, the students have like pub nights and whatever. And I was in charge of cooking for the pub. I did it like 6 times a semester. Anyways, so the first time I tried to make bread was one of the pub nights, and I was supposed to cook for like 80 to 100 people. And it was the first time I made bread. And I was really scared that I used too hot of a water, that I killed the yeast. And so it's probably not the best time to try bread for the first time, but I mean, it worked out, so that's what matters, right? Anyways, you kind of mix it up until all the dry flour is incorporated, and then you let it sit. So here it is. It's very wet, but this is what you're expected to have. Then you just cover it with a towel and let it sit for like 12 to 18 hours. And the longer you let it sit, the more flavor will develop. And then you can bake it and you'll have bread. My favorite thing about this bread is it's a no-knead bread. And from my last video, we all know that I hate kneading. So it really works out for me. Anyways, now I take my towel, and I'll see you guys in 12 to 18 hours, and we'll bake this bread. Hi, so now we're going to preheat the oven and put our baking vessel inside. I'm using my Lodge combo cooker again, but you can use anything with a good lid on it. So I'm gonna preheat the oven to 500 degrees and put the combo cooker in. And just let that heat up for about 30 minutes because you want everything to be nice and hot before you put the dough in. Cool, and we'll be back. So this is what the dough looks like after it's been sitting for a while. It's like jiggly, which is cool. And there's bubbles on it, which is also cool. And I'm just going to put it on a floured surface and kind of like shape it into a ball. It looks like dough. It does indeed. And then for this one, you want to really flour your hands just because this will stick to you. So now I kind of just like take it and like fold it in a few times. Oh God, it's so sticky. I think that's good enough. I kind of just like fold it into itself a few times. Make sure your hands are very floured. I'm not sure why, but for like yeasted doughs, I like to use flour, but then for sourdough, I really just hate flour. So there's lots of flour on me, but this is good enough. I've decided to move this onto parchment paper just because then I can move it into the pan easier. Flouring the dough more so it doesn't stick to me. And then, boop. So now I'm just gonna let it sit until my pan is ready. I'm gonna clean up this mess. So the oven is done preheating, and now I'm going to take out the combo cooker and put the bread in. So it's here, very hot. I just put the bread in, and then I'm gonna put it in the oven and put the lid on top. So now it's gonna bake for 30 minutes covered, and then I'm gonna uncover it and bake it for another 10 to 15 minutes until it's nice and brown. And then we'll have fresh bread. And yeasted breads are a lot more fluffy than sourdough breads. So like the texture is very different, but they're good in their own ways. So yeah, see you soon. Here's what the bread looks like. So it looks super nice, and then we're just gonna let it keep baking for another 10 to 15 minutes. So the bread is done, and I'm gonna take it out now. This is what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. It's nice and brown and very beautiful. So I'm just letting it cool on a wire rack for like 1 to 2 hours until it's cooler in the middle, so the dough has a chance to set. And if you look at it, there's again nice gluten structures, and the gluten is developed just by letting the bread sit for so long. So instead of kneading it, we just let it sit, which I like because I do not like to knead. Anyways, this is the bread. This is something I forgot to show in my last video, but here's a way to test if the bread is ready. So you just like, hopefully it's not too hot, you just like turn it on the side and you listen for a hollow sound. So this bread is most definitely ready. And now you just leave it. Yay, bread! It smells really good. Mmm. Now it's time to slice up the bread. So here we go. It's pretty well developed. Like you can see all the holes are there. And it's pretty nice. So this is the super easy no-knead bread. It just takes a while, but you know, that's what you get if you don't want to knead. It's a give and take to develop gluten. So this is the bread. It's super tasty. I like having yeasted breads with soup. So one of my favorite things to do with this bread is like make a big pot of tomato soup and then have some friends over and have warm bread and soup together. And oh, with some cheese too and butter. Oh, that's so good. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video and you'll like it down below and try the recipe. And I'll just like leave it in the description box too. And then also subscribe because that really helps my channel. And hopefully you can make tasty bread like this. Bye, see you in the next one.